Hey there gang, hope you're having an excellent day. Kawaii50 here with another Fate Grand Order video, and you all knew this video was definitely coming. It is time for me to talk about Barghest, a servant I am actually very sure at this point that I am going to take to level 120. Right, I said I was going to do that in the past, but Barghest has changed me. Thank you, big lady. Anyways, we're going to be going over ways to build Barghest, including some of the best allies, craft essences, and command codes to ensure that she can just exist on the battlefield indefinitely. Hopefully, this video ends up helping you build your very own Barghest, and if it does, be sure to go ahead, like, and subscribe. So Barghest runs a deck with 1 Quick, 1 Arts, and 3 Buster cards with an AoE Buster Noble Phantasm. As you'll learn when you get to her 3rd Ascension, she is a Berserker in basically all but class. Her max HP of 13,521 is fairly high, especially for a 4-star, and her attack is actually pretty solid as well at about 9k. We can definitely get it past that when it comes to things like craft essences. Her NP per hit is alright as well, and the same can be said for her star absorption, fairly middle of the road, as expected from a Saber class. Barghest's first skill is Numeral of the Saint rank B, increasing her attack by 18% and also increasing her Buster card effectiveness by 18 to 20% for 3 turns, but only on a sunny field. That's right, she lifted this directly from Gawain. Considering the attack boost never increases no matter how much we sink into this skill, and the Buster effectiveness only happens on a sunny field, we can safely max this skill last. Barghest's most valuable skill, and the one we will be maxing first, is Wild Rule rank A. This is a 20 to 30% Buster increase for 3 turns. That's right, it is not a mana burst. And it also applies the Feasting buff to Barghest. All normal attacks will heal Barghest for 1000 HP, and all normal attacks will remove 1 buff from your target. If you end up removing a buff from a target, well, they are going to get a 10% defense reduction for 3 turns, and yes, this does stack. So if you're fighting a boss that just wants to completely and utterly buff themselves into oblivion, well, you will then debuff their defense into oblivion by attacking them with Barghest. We are definitely going to max this skill first. And Barghest's final skill is Foul Weather rank A, granting all allies a 500 to 1000 damage cut 3 times for 3 turns, and also increases all allies' Noble Phantasm gauge, including Barghest's, by 10 to 15%. This is an alright NP steroid, but the main reason you are using this is for the Supreme Damage Cut. That's a lot of damage you can reduce from basic attacks, and it further cements Barghest as one of the ultimate survivability sabers. We're gonna max this second. So all of Barghest's append skills are actually fairly useful. Extra attack boost, of course, increasing all benefits of the extra attack card by 30 to 50%. Since Barghest actually can work fairly well as a last stand servant, on top of just being a boss slayer even with the AoE Noble Phantasm, this can actually be an excellent boost for her, because you're going to want to Brave Chain with her as much as possible, especially if the enemy is stacked with buffs. Low magical energy is great on every single character, Barghest being no exception, and anti-alter ego attack up can actually be fairly effective as well. Remember, alter egos are not going to be dealing extra damage to your knight classes, so having Barghest already there to soak up that damage will have her deal a little extra damage on top of that to those alter egos. And you just saw Barghest's Noble Phantasm, Black Dog Galantine. This is an AoE Noble Phantasm that hits all enemies for 300 to 500% damage. It increases Barghest's max HP by a whopping 3,000 for 5 turns. This is not Enkidu tier, but this is still pretty dang good, especially if you're able to somehow use this multiple times. Hint, hint, Koyanskaya. This also has an overcharge effect, increasing Barghest's Buster card effectiveness by 20 to 40% for 1 turn, and this activates before the damage is dealt. It's not as good necessarily for the Noble Phantasm's damage on paper, considering, well, NP damage usually reigns supreme when it comes to an overcharge effect, but considering Barghest has 3 Buster cards in her deck, you're going to see a solid amount of damage out of this if you follow up with a couple of Buster cards. So Barghest can mainly benefit from either of the big Buster supports, including the one in the future. Koyanskaya is of course going to grant her the ability to use her Noble Phantasm with impunity. She is going to be fairly solid if you're trying to farm enemies that are weak against Saber classes. I have found much success using Barghest with Merlin. That attack boost is nice, but also the benefit of granting the extra HP off of Merlin's 3rd skill if you're using that in a double Merlin setup. Well, I have seen Barghest easily break 20,000 HP thanks to this specific skill, and having the invincibility as a bonus, well, that really helps against enemy Noble Phantasms. I've just had my Barghest absolutely destroying bosses in things like rank up quests, interludes, and of course the story on top of that. She has been super duper helpful. Now let's talk craft essences. If you are looking to farm with Barghest, of course K-Scope or whatever CE you have that grants the highest starting NP gauge is going to be a no-brainer. You want Barghest to use her Noble Phantasm to clear out the waves, but starting NP gauge craft essences can also be helpful for her in general, just because you end up getting that maximum HP boost off of her Noble Phantasm. If I had to pick the best type of craft essence to put on Barghest, however, it would be whatever you have that grants the absolute highest amount of damage cut. Barghest is designed to just completely stack damage cut, regain as much HP as possible, and essentially refuse to die for as long as possible. So let's use CEs to go ahead and facilitate that. The absolute best CE for Barghest, I believe, is Under the Sun. This grants an HP and an attack boost, a nice little mixed bonus, grants her 3 instances of evade, and grants 300 damage cut normally, 400 if you max limit broke this. So this can be insanely helpful for keeping Barghest alive. Roundtable on Ice is also an excellent 4-star pick. This grants damage cut as well as 1 instance of debuff immunity, and if you're looking for a solid freebie option, Jewel Bride is going to be the way to go. This grants 300 to 400 damage cut as well as 1 instance of Guts status. Barghest surprisingly can't grant herself any sort of Guts, so having a CE to grant us that coveted buff is going to be great. And now we get to command codes. Now, I will fully admit that I was super excited about Barghest's damage potential as a Saber, an AoE Saber in general, and I chucked a bunch of critical damage stuff on her, and I can safely say that I made a mistake, and I am entirely willing to accept my own faults. I'm going to be reworking Barghest's command codes now that I actually did a bunch of research into this video, and I really sincerely believe that any sort of damage cut and debuff removal is going to be the way to go for your Barghest. You might have First Servant lurking in your box or on another character. I would highly recommend putting this on Barghest. I am going to be doing this myself as well. 1 instance of damage cut 300 stacking with all the other ways you can get damage cut from craft essences as well as Barghest skills is gonna be awesome. You're basically gonna see a lot of zeros when enemies attack her. We can also go ahead and give her something that heals, for example. Holy Shroud of Lovers is something I threw immediately on Barghest, not just for lore implications, not just for my personal feelings implications, but because this removes defense debuffs from Barghest, which she doesn't want, and also grants her a little bit of HP recovery. Mini Ushawaka, the 3-star command code that really should probably be a 4-star, should also go on Barghest as well. This grants a critical star as well as removes offensive debuffs. We want to avoid those buster down debuffs as much as possible. Starry Sea Voyage Certificate grants a couple of critical stars and also removes ailment debuffs as well. This can be fantastic for Barghest. White Vessel's Command Seal just removes any and all debuffs. This is truly incredible. And any sort of HP recovery command codes can be excellent as well. Hero of the Endowed would be my premium pick for Barghest, granting critical stars and 200 HP. Overall, gang, I'm fully ready to admit, because I need to try to be objective to all of you, that Barghest is definitely not the ideal AoE saber from a mechanic standpoint. She lacks a way to give herself an NP damage up, and her first skill's Buster boost is far too situational for you to really be able to use it with impunity unless you have specifically looked into the type of stage that you will be fighting on. And I do not expect the average player to do that. You don't even necessarily need to do that. Where Barghest excels, though, is in her survivability. Is this on the level of a Heracles? No, but it is entirely interesting to play with a character that is able to stack so much damage cut and able to continually boost her HP and just continue to fight for you no matter how many attacks and debuffs and all of that are thrown against her. If you enjoy the likes of, say, for example, playing with Enkidu, then you are definitely going to enjoy using Barghest as well. She is overall a great character when it comes to survivability and fighting bosses. You can use her for a little bit of farming, but that is mainly where she shines. And as I stated before, I do quite like Barghest. I absolutely adore her as a character. She might honestly now be my favorite character in the game, and I am definitely going to be leveling her to 120 to get that sweet almost 20,000 HP. I'm sure no matter what challenge Barghest and I attempt to conquer together, we will get through it, even if we've got to take a few lumps along the way. But of course, I want to know what you all think, so let me know your thoughts on Barghest down in the comment section below. Let me know if you think there are any allies, craft essences, or command codes I might have missed, and let me know if you were able to summon Barghest on the Morgan Le Fay banner. You can of course check out my personal summons on the YouTube channel as well. I've got the entire summon video uploaded and ready to go. And thank you to everyone who has already watched that, liked it, and shared it. That all really helps me out, and if you could do that for this video as well, that would also help me out. Big thanks to everyone on the Patreon, on the Ko-fi, on the Discord. Y'all are a great community. I am super happy to see how everyone interacts with each other. And of course, a big thanks to all of you here on YouTube. Without your support, I wouldn't continue to make these videos, so I really do appreciate it. Well, gang, that's it for me, Kawaii50. I've got a lot of EXP cards to farm now, I guess. I hope you all have a phenomenal day, and I'll see you all in the next one.